At my sister's birthday dinner, my mom called her the daughter I'm truly proud of, then slid me the $3,450 bill. So I told her your pride and joy will handle it, then walked out and cut my entire family off. My name is Sophia Burke. I am 30 years old and I live in a simple 2-bedroom apartment in the city. I sat there in the most expensive restaurant in the city, the Monarch. My hands were folded tightly on the white tablecloth and I was trying to keep a smile on my face. Across from me, my mother stood up, raising a glass of champagne. She looked at my younger sister, Lauren, with tears in her eyes. To Lauren, Mom said, her voice loud enough for the whole room to hear. The creative genius of this family, she is the daughter I am truly proud of. Everyone clapped. Lauren beamed like a queen. I clapped too, even though my chest felt tight. I was just the high school teacher. I was the boring one. Then the waiter walked past everyone else. He didn't look at my dad. He didn't look at Lauren, whose brand launch we were celebrating. He walked straight to me. He dropped a black leather folder in front of my plate. I opened it. The total was $3,450. My mother leaned over and whispered, "You know, teacher salaries are stable, Sophia. Support your sister." That was the moment the silence broke. I looked at the bill. Then I looked at my mother, and for the first time in my life, I didn't reach for my credit card. But before I tell you how everything flipped, like and subscribe, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? My name is Sophia Burke. I am 30 years old. I didn't cause a scene. I didn't scream. I just slid the black folder back across the table. It made a soft scraping sound against the white tablecloth. "I'm not paying for this," I said. My voice was quiet. It was steady. The table went silent. My mother's mouth opened, but no sound came out. My sister Lauren looked down at her plate, suddenly very interested in her napkin. My father cleared his throat, looking annoyed as if I had just spilled a drink. "Sophia," Mom hissed, "don't be dramatic." "I'm not," I said. I stood up. I picked up my purse. "I'm just leaving." I walked out of the private room. I walked through the main dining area of the Monarch. The restaurant was beautiful. It smelled like expensive steak and truffles. The lights were dim and gold, but all I could feel was the cold air on my skin and the burning feeling in my stomach. I walked out the front door and onto the sidewalk. The night air was cool. I took a deep breath, trying to stop my hands from shaking. A minute later, the heavy door opened again. It was Jacob, my boyfriend. He didn't say anything. He just handed the valet his ticket. He stood next to me and took my hand. His hand was warm. It was the only real thing in the world right then. We waited for the car in silence. When our sedan pulled up, a sensible 4-year-old car, not like the least luxury SUV my parents drove, we got inside. I drove. I needed to do something with my hand. The city lights passed by in a blur of red and white. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. The silence in the car was heavy. "You okay?" Jacob asked softly. "No," I said, "I'm not." "Good. He said you shouldn't be." I looked at him quickly, then back at the road. "What do you mean, Sophia? That bill was nearly $4,000, Jacob said. His voice wasn't angry, just matter of fact. They ordered the most expensive wine. They ordered the seafood tower. Lauren ordered 2 desserts. They didn't even look at the prices. You know why I swallowed hard? Why? Because they knew they weren't paying. They knew you were there. Tears pricked my eyes. I blinked them away. I focused on the taillights of the car in front of me. "It's her birthday," I whispered. It was a weak defense. I knew it was weak. "It's her 32nd birthday, Sophia. She's not a child. And it wasn't just a birthday dinner. It was a brand launch for a brand that doesn't make money." Jacob was right. Lauren called herself an influencer. She called herself a lifestyle consultant. Mostly, she just took photos of herself in clothes my parents bought her, eating food I paid for. I drove onto the highway. The hum of the tires against the asphalt filled the car. My mind started to drift back. I started to think about the last few years. It wasn't just tonight. I thought about 3 months ago my father called me in a panic. He said he was short on the mortgage because of a banking error. I transferred $2,000 immediately. He never paid me back. He never mentioned it again. I thought about last Christmas. Lauren wanted a trip to Tulum to create content. My parents said they couldn't afford it. They looked at me. They said, "Sophia, you don't have kids. You have savings. Help your sister achieve her dreams." I paid for the flight. I paid for the hotel. Lauren posted photos for a week. She captioned them "self-made." Grateful for my hustle. She didn't tag me. She didn't thank me. I thought about the DUI. 2 years ago, Lauren got pulled over. She called me from the police station crying. She couldn't call Mom and Dad. They would be too upset. She needed bail money. She needed a lawyer. I drained my emergency fund, $5,000. I hired the lawyer. I picked her up. I drove her home. When we got to my parents' house that night, Mom hugged Lauren and cried. She made her tea. She tucked her into bed. Then she came out to the kitchen where I was standing. "Thank goodness you handled that," Mom said. "We can't have a scandal. It would ruin your father's reputation at the club." She didn't ask how much it cost. She didn't ask if I was okay. She just expected it. I was the fixer. I was the safety net. I was the wallet. I looked at Jacob. "I've been an idiot," I said. "You haven't been an idiot," Jacob said gently. "You've been a daughter who wants to be loved. There's a difference. But they are using that against you." "They praised her," I said. The words tasted like bile. Mom stood up and said, "Lauren is the daughter she's proud of," while I was sitting there ready to pay the bill. That's the part that makes me sick. Jacob said. They insult you while their hands are in your pockets. We pulled up to our apartment building. It was a nice building, but simple. We lived carefully. We budgeted. I was a teacher. Jacob was a graphic designer. We weren't rich. We saved. We cooked at home. We drove old cars. And meanwhile, my family was eating seafood towers at the Monarch. I turned off the engine. I sat there in the dark garage. It stops today, I said. I hope so, Jacob said. He unbuckled his seatbelt. But you know what's coming next, right? What the guilt, he said. They're going to come for you. They're going to make you feel like the bad guy. Are you ready for that? I thought about the bill. $3,450. I thought about Mom's whisper. Teacher salaries are stable. I'm ready. I lied. I wasn't ready, but I had no choice. We got into the apartment. It was quiet. It was our sanctuary, but the peace didn't last long. My phone started buzzing in my purse before I even took my shoes off. It was an angry sound. I walked to the kitchen island and took the phone out. I laid it on the counter. The screen lit up. Mom, where did you go? Mom, the waiter is standing here. This is humiliating. Mom, Sophia, come back right now. Lauren, are you serious, Lauren? You just ruined my night. Everyone is staring at us. Dad, unacceptable behavior, Sophia. Pick up the phone. My heart hammered against my ribs. It was a physical reaction. I was conditioned to panic when they were upset. I was trained to fix it. My thumb hovered over the screen. I wanted to text back. I wanted to apologize. I wanted to transfer the money just to make the buzzing stop. Jacob walked into the kitchen. He saw me staring at the phone. He reached over and gently placed his hand on top of mine. Don't, he said. They're stuck there, I said. They probably can't pay. They have credit cards, Jacob said. Your dad drives a Mercedes. Lauren carries a Gucci bag. They can pay. They just don't want to. The phone buzzed again. A long string of messages from Mom. Mom, I cannot believe you would do this to your sister on her big night. You know how hard she has worked for this brand. You are being incredibly selfish. We are family. We support each other. Mom, the manager, is threatening to call the police if we don't settle the bill. Do you want your father to be arrested? Is that what you want? That was the hook, the guilt, the escalation. Do you want your father to be arrested? She's saying they might get arrested, I said, my voice trembling. Jacob laughed. It was a dry, harsh sound. They aren't going to get arrested. They will put it on a card. Stop reading them. But I couldn't stop. The messages kept coming. It was a digital storm. They were attacking me from every angle. Lauren, I literally hate you right now. You're just jealous. You've always been jealous because I'm creative and you're just a teacher. You couldn't stand me having the spotlight. Dad, I am very disappointed in you. We raised you better than this. To walk out on a bill, it's cheap. It's classless. Classless, I laughed. It was a broken sound. Dad called me classless. The man who expected his daughter to pay for his dinner without asking. Jacob shook his head. That's rich. I sat down on the bar stool. I felt heavy. I felt drained. Notice what they aren't asking, I said quietly. Jacob looked at me. What? They aren't asking why I left. They aren't asking if I'm okay. They aren't asking if I'm sick or if something happened. They are only worried about the money. They are only worried about the embarrassment. I scrolled up through the chat history, years of it. Can you Venmo me $50, Lauren? Forgot my wallet. Can you cover lunch, Dad? Need a deposit for the venue. I'll pay you back next week. Mom, there was never a how are you? There was never a I'm proud of you, unless they needed something. They don't love me, I said. The realization hit me like a physical blow to the chest. It knocked the wind out of me. They love what I do for them. They love the ATM, Sophia, Jacob said. He came around the counter and hugged me. I love you. Real love doesn't come with a bill. I leaned into him. I let myself cry for a minute, just a minute, then I wiped my face. The sadness was turning into something else. It was turning into anger. Cold, hard anger. My phone buzzed again. Mom, we paid it. I had to use the emergency card. I expect a transfer of $3,500 by tomorrow morning, plus an apology letter to your sister. I stared at the number. $3,500. They rounded up. The bill was $3,450. They added $50 for themselves, or maybe for the tip. They expected me to tip the waiter who disrespected me. No, I whispered. I picked up the phone. I didn't text back. I didn't call. I turned the phone off. I held the power button until the screen went black. What are you doing, Jacob asked. I need to see it, I said. I need to see it all. See what the numbers, I said. I need to know how much. I need to know exactly how much they've taken from me. I stood up and walked to the living room. I pulled my laptop out of my bag. I sat down on the sofa and opened it. The screen glowed blue in the dark room. I'm going to do an audit, I said. I opened a blank spreadsheet. The grid was empty white boxes waiting to be filled. I logged into my bank account. I logged into my credit card portal. I logged into Venmo and PayPal. You don't have to do this tonight, Jacob said, sitting next to me. Yes, I do, I said. If I don't do it now, I'll talk myself out of it. I'll convince myself it wasn't that bad. I need the proof. I started with the current year. January mortgage help for Dad, $2,000. Lauren's car insurance, she forgot to pay $450. Mom's birthday gift, spa day, she requested $600. February, Lauren's website hosting fee, $300. Family dinner, I paid $280. Dad's investment opportunity, never heard about it again. $1,500. I typed them in, line by line, date, description, amount. The numbers started to add up fast. In just 2 months, I had spent over $5,000 on them. I went back to last year, the family vacation to Florida. They told me it would be a family bonding trip. They booked a large Airbnb. When we got there, Mom said, "Oh, Sophia, your father's card is having issues with the international transaction fees. Can you put the deposit down?" I put down $2,500. Then I paid for the groceries, $400. Then I paid for the rental car, $600. I typed it all in. I went back to the year before the DUI. Lawyer retainer, $3,000. Court fees, $1,200. Towing fees, $400. I remembered that night clearly. Lauren crying in the holding cell. Me sitting on the hard metal bench waiting for the paperwork. I missed a day of work. I used my sick days. I added a new column to the spreadsheet. I called it emotional cost. Next to the DUI expenses, I typed missed work, stress, migraine. Lauren blamed me for not driving her, said I should have been at the party to stop her. Next to the Florida trip expenses, I typed slept on the pull-out couch while Lauren got the master bedroom. Mom said I didn't mind because I was single. I kept going back 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. The room grew darker. The only light was the laptop screen. My eyes burned. My fingers flew across the keys. Jacob brought me AA of water. He watched the total at the bottom of the screen grow. $10,000, $25,000, $32,000. It was a down payment on a house. It was a new car. It was my retirement fund. I could have bought a house, I whispered. I'm still renting this apartment and I could have bought a house. They stole your future, Jacob said. He sounded angry now. Bit by bit, I found smaller things too. Streaming services, Netflix, my account, Spotify, my account, Amazon Prime, my account. I checked the order history on my Amazon account. Face cream shipped to Mom, Bluetooth speaker shipped to Lauren, golf balls shipped to Dad. They had my password. They just clicked buy now and shipped it to themselves. I never checked the small charges. I just paid the bill at the end of the month. I trusted them. I'm such a fool, I said. You're not a fool, Jacob said firmly. You're a victim of theft. This is theft, Sophia. Just because they are family doesn't mean it's not stealing. I reached the bottom of the 5th year. I summed up the column. Total financial cost, $42,350. $42,000. I stared at the number. I felt sick, physically sick. That was money I worked for. I stood on my feet all day teaching high school history. I graded papers until midnight. I dealt with angry parents and difficult administration. I saved every penny I could and they took it. They ate it. They drank it. They wore it. There's something else, Jacob said. He was looking at a specific entry on my credit card statement from 6 months ago. What? Look at this. He pointed to the screen. I looked. July 14th, the Monarch restaurant, $1,500. July. I frowned. We weren't at the Monarch in July. I remember July. I was teaching summer school. Read the transaction details, Jacob said. He clicked on the little arrow to expand the line item. The text expanded. Transaction type deposit, description private room reservation, event date August 20th. Hold for Burke anniversary. My blood ran cold. I froze. I stared at the words Burke anniversary. August 20th was my parents' 30th wedding anniversary. I remembered August. I remembered it very clearly. I had called Mom in early August to ask what they wanted to do. I remembered the conversation perfectly. I was standing in the kitchen chopping vegetables. Oh, Sophia, Mom had said, sounding tired. We're not doing anything this year. Money is so tight. Your father's business is slow. We'll probably just order Chinese food and watch a movie. Don't worry about us. I had felt so guilty. I felt guilty that they were broke, so I sent them a card with a $200 check inside. I wrote, "Have a nice dinner on me." They cashed the check, but looking at the screen, I saw the truth. They had booked the Monarch. They paid a $1,500 deposit. They had a party, I whispered. They had a 30th anniversary party, and you weren't invited, Jacob said. But who paid the rest, I asked. This is just the deposit, $1,500. I pulled out my phone. I turned it back on. It buzzed instantly with more angry texts, but I ignored them. I opened Instagram. I went to Lauren's profile. I scrolled back. July, August 20th. There it was. A carousel of photos. Caption, cheers to 30 years of love. Happy anniversary to the best parents in the world. So glad we could celebrate in style. Hashtag family, hashtag love, hashtag the Monarch. I swiped through the photos. Photo 1, Mom and Dad clinking champagne glasses. They were dressed up. Mom was wearing a new dress. Photo 2, Lauren and her boyfriend laughing with Dad. Photo 3, a group shot. My aunts, my uncles, my cousins, even some of their neighbors. Everyone was there. There were at least 20 people in the private room, the same room we were in tonight. I wasn't in any of the photos. I wasn't there. I scrolled to the comments. Aunt Becky, beautiful night. So glad we could celebrate. Cousin Mike, great food, great company. Mom, thank you for organizing this, Lauren. You are such an angel. My stomach dropped. Thank you for organizing this, Lauren. I looked back at my bank statement. July 14th. The Monarch, $1,500. I paid the deposit. I used my card. They must have used my card number over the phone. Or maybe they swiped it when I wasn't looking one day. I paid for the deposit for a party I wasn't invited to. They told me they were staying home. I said, my voice shaking with rage. They told me they were broke. I sent them a check. They took my check and they used my credit card to book a party, and they didn't invite me. Why, Jacob asked. Why wouldn't they invite you? I looked at the photos again. Everyone looked glamorous. Everyone looked rich. Because I don't fit the brand, I said. I'm the teacher. I drive the old car. I wear sensible clothes. Lauren is the influencer. Having me there, having the boring sister there, it ruins the aesthetic. Or maybe I paused. A darker thought came to me. Maybe they didn't invite me because if I was there, I would know how much it cost. If I wasn't there, they could just steal the money for the deposit and hope I never noticed the charge. They hid the line item. I looked at the description again, the Monarch. If I had seen it back in July, I would have assumed it was a mistake or maybe a charge from a previous dinner. I rarely check the details. I just paid the total. They banked on my negligence. They banked on my trust. I felt a fire start in my chest. It wasn't sadness anymore. It wasn't just anger. It was clarity. For 30 years, I thought I was part of the family. I wasn't. I was the staff. I was the silent partner. I was the investor. They stole $1,500 for a party I was banned from. I said. I grabbed my phone. I took a screenshot of the Instagram post. I took a screenshot of the bank transaction. I printed them out. I printed out the spreadsheet, 5 pages of financial abuse. I went to the closet and found a manila folder. I put the papers inside. What are you doing? Jacob asked. I'm building a case, I said. Just then the intercom buzzer rang. It was a harsh, loud buzz that filled the apartment. We both looked at the door. My phone lit up on the table. Mom, we are downstairs. Buzz us up. We need to talk. Now they had come to me. Do you want me to tell them to leave? Jacob asked. He stood up, looking ready to fight. I looked at the folder in my hand. I looked at the spreadsheet. $42,350 plus the emotional cost, plus the lies. No, I said. I felt strangely calm. My hand stopped shaking. The tears were gone. Let them in, I said. I'm ready to close the account. The buzzer screamed again. It was a long, impatient sound. It sounded like they were leaning on the button, refusing to let go until I obeyed. Buzz them up, I said to Jacob. Jacob hesitated. He looked at the door, then back at me. He was worried. He had seen me crumble before. He had seen me apologize when I did nothing wrong. He had seen me write checks just to stop the yelling. He thought I was going to fold again. Sophia, are you sure? He asked. We can just leave the intercom off. They'll go away eventually. No, they won't, I said. I smoothed the cover of the manila folder. They'll call the police for a welfare check just to force the door open. They'll scream in the lobby until the neighbors complain. The only way out is through. Jacob pressed the button. Bzzzt. The lock on the downstairs door released. I heard the heavy thud of a main door opening 3 floors down. Then the sound of heels clicking on the stairs. They didn't take the elevator. They were storming up the stairs, energized by their anger. I moved to the living room. I didn't sit down. I stood behind the coffee table. It felt like a barrier, a fortress. I placed the manila folder in the center of the table. Next to it, I placed my phone face up, recording audio. What's the plan? Jacob asked. He stood off to the side, leaning against the wall. He was my witness. I don't have a plan, I said. I have an invoice. I looked around my apartment. It was clean. It was simple. The furniture was from IKEA, bought 5 years ago. The rug was from a discount store. There were no expensive paintings, no crystal vases. My parents lived in a house full of velvet and gold trim, paid for by debt and my salary. The knock on the door was sharp. Bang, bang, bang. I walked over and unlocked it. I opened it wide. They were standing there in a tight formation. My father was in front, his face red. My mother was next to him, clutching her purse like a weapon. Lauren was in the back, her eyes rimmed with red, looking like a tragic victim. How dare you, my father boomed. He walked right past me into my apartment without asking. He looked around with a sneer as if my home wasn't good enough for his boots. Sophia, Mom cried out. She didn't hug me. She marched into the center of the room. The manager threatened to ban us. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that was? The Smiths were watching. The Petersons were watching. Lauren walked in last. She didn't look at me. She threw herself onto my sofa and let out a dramatic sob. My launch is ruined, she wailed. Everyone is going to talk about how my sister is cheap. I closed the door. I locked it. I walked back to my spot behind the coffee table. You owe your sister an apology, Dad said. He pointed a finger at my face. And you are going to transfer the money right now, plus an extra $500 for the distress you caused. Distress, I repeated. The word felt heavy in my mouth. Yes, distress, Mom snapped. We had to use the emergency credit card, the one we were saving for medical bills. I looked at them, really looked at them. Dad was wearing a tailored suit. Mom was wearing diamond earrings. Lauren was wearing a dress that cost more than my monthly car payment. And they were yelling at me about money. I'm not transferring anything, I said. The room went. Lauren stopped crying instantly. Mom froze. Dad's face turned a darker shade of purple. Excuse me? Dad asked. His voice dropped to a dangerous growl. I said no, I said. My voice was calm. It surprised even me. I am not paying for the dinner and I am not apologizing. You ungrateful little brat. Dad stepped forward. Jacob straightened up off the wall, ready to intervene. I held up a hand to stop him. I'm not ungrateful, I said. I'm just finished. I picked up the manila folder. What is that? Mom asked, eyeing the folder. Is that the apology letter? No, I said. It's a ledger. I opened the folder. I took out the spreadsheet. I spread the papers out on the coffee table so they could see the rows and rows of black ink. What is this nonsense? Dad asked, looking down at the paper. This, I said, pointing to the first line, is the money I gave you for the mortgage in January $2,000. I moved my finger down. This is the money for Lauren's car insurance. This is the money for the bail bond. This is the money for the family vacation I slept on the floor for. So, Lauren scoffed, you helped your family. That's what you're supposed to do. Why are you keeping score? That's psycho. I'm keeping score because you aren't family, I said. You're a business expense. How dare you? Mom gasped. She put a hand to her chest. We raised you. We fed you. We put a roof over your head, and I have paid you back, I said with interest. I picked up the summary page. In the last 5 years alone, I read aloud, I have given you $42,350. I looked up. That is a down payment on a house. That is a wedding. That is a master's degree. I gave it all to you. We needed help, Dad shouted. Family helps family. Do they? I asked. Then why didn't you help me when my car broke down last year? You told me to figure it out. Why didn't you help me when I needed surgery for my wisdom teeth? You said you were tapped out, but the next week you went to a casino. We have expenses, Mom yelled. You don't understand the pressure of maintaining our lifestyle. Your lifestyle, I corrected, not ours. Yours, I reached into the folder and pulled out the final piece of paper, the screenshot of the bank transaction and the screenshot of the Instagram post. I slid them across the table toward my mother. Explain this, I said. Mom looked at the paper. Her face went pale. The color drained out of her cheeks instantly. She looked like a ghost. Dad looked over her shoulder. He stopped breathing for a second. July 14th, I said. A charge for $1,500. A deposit for a private room at the Monarch for the Burke anniversary party. I pointed to the Instagram photo of them clinking glasses. I paid for the deposit, I said, for a party you told me wasn't happening. For a party where you celebrated family while I sat at home thinking you were eating Chinese takeout because you were broke. Lauren looked at the photo. She didn't look ashamed. She looked annoyed that she got caught. We just didn't want you to feel bad, Lauren said. You're always so gloomy. You kill the vibe. We wanted a happy celebration. You stole my money, I said. You used my credit card without my permission. That is fraud. It's not fraud, Dad yelled. I am your father. I have a right to your resources. No, you don't, I said. You have a right to respect. And you lost that a long time ago. I stood up straighter. I felt 10 feet tall. You call me ungrateful, I said. You call me the stable one. You call me the safety net. But tonight at dinner, you stood up and said, Lauren is the daughter you are proud of. Mom tried to speak. Sophia, I didn't mean, you meant it, I cut her off. She's the daughter you're proud of because she's just like you, flashy fake and living off someone else's dime. I looked at my father. You said I owe you because you raised me. I took a deep breath. I am not your daughter anymore, I said. My voice was ice cold. I am your investor, and this investment has yielded 0 returns. So I am pulling my funding. The Bank of Sophia is closed. Dad laughed. It was a nervous laugh. You can't be serious. You'll be back. You always come back. You need us. I don't need you, I said. I never did. You needed me. I pointed to the door. Get out. You can't kick us out, Lauren said. She crossed her arms. I'm not leaving until you apologize and transfer the money. Jacob, I said, hand me the phone. Jacob handed me my phone. I am dialing 911, I said calmly. I am going to report a theft of $1,500 via credit card fraud. I have the receipt. I have the proof that I wasn't at the event. I have the IP address log from Amazon where you ordered things to your house using my account. I looked at my father. Fraud over a certain amount is a felony, Dad. Do you want that on your record at the country club? Dad's eyes went wide. He knew I was telling the truth. He knew the numbers were real. He looked at Mom. Let's go, Dad muttered. What? Mom shrieked. We are not leaving. She is bluffing. She's not bluffing, Helen, Dad snapped. He looked at me with pure hatred. It was the first time he looked at me honestly. There was no love, just anger that his resource was fighting back. She kept a ledger. She's been planning this. I didn't plan it, I said. You forced me to write it. Give me your keys, I said. What? Mom clutched her purse. The spare keys to my apartment, I said. I know you all have a set. Put them on the table. Now I don't have them on me. Lauren lied. Check your purse, I said, or I call the cops. Lauren groaned. She dug into her expensive bag and threw a key onto the table. It hit the wood with a loud clack. Mom hesitated. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Sophia, please don't do this. We're a family. Who will we have for Christmas? You have Lauren, I said. She's the creative genius. Let her create a Christmas dinner. Mom slowly pulled her key out and placed it on the table. Dad slammed his key down. It bounced off the table and hit the floor. He didn't pick it up. You are making a huge mistake, Dad said. You are going to die alone. Better to be alone than to be bled dry, I said. They walked to the door. Jacob opened it for them. He didn't say a word. He just held the door open. Lauren stopped in the doorway. You're ruining my life. No, I said. I'm starting mine. They walked out into the hallway. The heavy door clicked shut. I threw the deadbolt, then the chain. I stood there staring at the white door. I waited for the tears. I waited for the panic. I waited for the overwhelming guilt that always came after I stood up for myself, but it didn't come. Instead, my shoulders dropped. The tightness in my chest loosened. The headache that had been throbbing behind my eyes for years vanished. I looked at Jacob. He was smiling. You did it, he said. I did it, I whispered. I looked at the keys on the table. 3 little metal keys. They looked like trash. I picked them up and threw them in the garbage can. The apartment was quiet, but it wasn't a lonely quiet. It was a peaceful quiet. It was Sunday morning. Usually on Sunday mornings, I would be panic cleaning because Mom might drop by, or I would be rushing to answer texts from Lauren about her latest crisis. Today I was drinking coffee. I was sitting on the balcony watching the birds. My phone sat on the table. It was silent. I had blocked them, all of them. It was hard at first. The first week, they tried to call from different numbers. My aunts called me to tell me I was being cruel. My cousins messaged me on Facebook. I sent them all the same message. A screenshot of the spreadsheet totaled $42,350 and a note that said, I have paid my dues. I am retired. Then I blocked them too. I opened my banking app on my phone. Savings account $8,400. It wasn't a fortune, but it was mine. For the last 3 months, my paychecks stayed in my account. No emergency transfers, no bail money, no paying for brand launch dinners. I saw a charge for $12 for Netflix. It was just me and Jacob on the account now. I had changed the password. I saw a charge for groceries, just food for us. I clicked on a new folder I had made called Tokyo Fund. I had always wanted to go to Japan since I was a little girl. I loved the history. I loved the food, but I never went. My parents always said it was too far or too expensive, and then they would ask me to pay for their trip to Florida. I transferred $500 into the Tokyo Fund. Hey, Jacob came out onto the balcony. He was holding 2 bagels. What are you smiling at, Japan? I said. I think we can go in the spring during cherry blossom season. We have the money, he asked. We have the money, I said. And we have the time. No family obligations. Jacob sat down next to me. Have you heard from them? My aunt posted something yesterday, I said. I saw it before I blocked her. Apparently Mom and Dad are selling the boat, and Lauren had to get a job at a retail store. Retail? Jacob laughed. She must hate that. She probably does, I said. But she's learning finally. I didn't feel happy about their struggle. I wasn't vindictive. I just felt detached. It wasn't my problem. Their bills were not my bills. Their drama was not my drama. I took a bite of my bagel. It tasted better than any seafood tower at the Monarch. I realized that for the first time in 30 years, I wasn't afraid of my phone ringing. I wasn't afraid of the mail. I wasn't afraid of judgment. I was just Sophia, and that was enough. I stood in the center of my living room, the same room where I laid out the ledger, the same room where I cut the cord. It felt different now, lighter. I used to think that cutting off my family would kill me. I thought the loneliness would be unbearable. We are taught that family is everything. Blood is thicker than water. Honor your father and mother. But nobody tells you what to do when your family is the water drowning you. Nobody tells you that sometimes honor looks like walking away. I lost my parents. I lost my sister, but I looked at the mirror on the wall. I saw a woman who looked rested. I saw a woman with a savings account. I saw a woman who had a partner who respected her. I gained my life back. I walked over to the camera I had set up. I sat down. I looked directly into the lens. My voice was steady. My hands were still. If you are watching this, I said, and you feel a knot in your stomach every time your phone rings, listen to me. If you are the one who always pays, the one who always fixes, the one who is always stable while everyone else is chaotic, stop. You are not a bank. You are not a rehabilitation center for broken adults. You are a person, and you do not owe anyone your peace, not even the people who gave you life. I smiled a real small smile. I walked away from a $3,450 bill, and I saved my own life. You can do it too. It's scary, but the silence on the other side, it's beautiful. If ever had to cut someone off to save yourself, drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know I'm not alone, and please like and subscribe for more stories about boundaries, self-respect, and quiet revenge. I reached out and turned off the camera. I was done telling the story.